Jared Schonig. Spectacular.
Thank you.
And this is your quintet with Mark. How do you say Mark? Is it Marquise?
Marquise. Yep, you got
Marquise
it,
Hall on
Marquise.
trumpet, Godwin Lewis on alto.
Louis. So he's Godwin Louis.
Oh, okay. Godwin Louis on alto.
Exactly.
Is he French or is it just that's how he says it?
I believe he's Haitian. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Luis Perdomo,
correct. Yep.
great pianist. Matt Clohizzi on
Closey. Yeah.
shit. Close.
They're all tough. And then
Oh man,
my
come
name
on.
gets butchered all the time, so it's all good.
Does it
Oh yeah.
really?
Yeah. Ever
See,
since
to
I was a
me,
kid.
I mean, maybe I'm saying it wrong. Jared Schonig.
Yeah, well, you're a smart woman.
That's really funny. Well, ladies and gentlemen, um, Jared Schonig is my guest. I just lost here we go, my screen. And very happy to have you on. Love your music.
Thanks so much.
Love your playing. I mean that is what I saw first. And I was telling Jared,
Cool.
I don't know if everybody does this or not, but I keep a lot of tabs open, which I probably shouldn't, but that particular cut was up there for months, I think. It was just
Wow.
I kept going back to it. It was like, oh God, I didn't even move on.
That
I
I
just
love
watched
it.
that because it was so good, you know.
That's very sweet. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And Jared is a good friend of Mike Campbell's. For those of you who know Mike Campbell, and was that because your parents were studio people?
Yeah, I mean our history goes way back. My parents have known Mike and his wife Elaine for I guess since they were kids ish, early 20s, 30s. Yeah. My dad and Mike played gigs together all the time. And then
What did your dad?
Mike
What did or does your
he
dad?
he does. So he's a percussionist and a drummer. Yeah.
Okay, his first name is
Terrence.
okay, and your mom?
Carol Smith Schonig, a wonderful pianist and a piano teacher, concert pianist.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Do you have siblings too, who are?
I do. I have a younger brother who I always tell the joke that he was lucky enough to do something else besides music. And so he went to school for a really long time and got his doctorate in film studies and is a professor of film at TCU in Fort Worth, Texas.
Well, that's not exactly like a disconnected job, is it?
No, no, and he is also very musical and he was a very talented pianist and
Oh,
taught himself guitar and he's a wonderful dude.
cool. Um, well, that was really exciting. So tell us about that. Actually, is that your latest project?
Yeah, so I put two records out finally under my own name. I recorded them in the end of 2019 and was planning to release them in 2020 and had a
We
few
all know what
mixing
happened
and
then.
we all know what happened. I know this is such a common story.
Oh,
Um, so but yeah, I had a collaborative trio called the We Trio with a great vibes player named James Westfall and one of my best friends and favorite bassists, Dan Loomis. And we all wrote for the group and we toured around for a lot and did a lot of wonderful stuff. And that group kind of came to an end when James he had been living in New Orleans and he moved to back to Texas where he's from, and kind of took a teaching job and was unable to tour. And then we all started having kids, and so we all kind of decided, okay, we're gonna call it quits. We had a good run. So I had always wanted to do something for myself under my own name with all my music. And yeah, if you don't know the whole story about the two records, basically I did a very insane thing where I took 8 of my tunes and kind of adapted them for a quintet with trumpet, alto, piano, bass, drums. And that was volume 1 of 2 takes. That's the name of the record, 2 takes, volume 1, quintet. And then what I did was I commissioned 8 of my favorite big band arrangers, composers,
Hmm.
and I asked each one of them to do an arrangement of one of my tunes.
Oh.
So I have 2 records, a small group and a big band record, of all the same music, just presented in completely different ways by
Wait,
these.
oh, wait a minute. So,
Did you
oh,
not?
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's,
yeah.
wow, now that's an interesting idea. Dan, if you're listening, that's an interesting idea. No, I'm kidding, Dan. Dan helps me put out my records, and we're always, yeah, we just think of new stuff. But
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah, I think I was the first person to do that, and now I know a few people who are doing it, which is cool. Like basically, commissioning other people to do arrangements of their music and then putting out a record. But my thing was just putting them out together as like companion projects, so that you could listen to one and then listen to the
I
second
love
one and be
that.
like, "Wow, yeah, thank you."
I love that. I'm gonna do that. I mean, I'm gonna go listen. But
Yeah, yeah,
I have recorded the same song on a few different records.
sure, exactly.
That's a whole different thing, but that's so clever. I mean,
Thank you.
okay, so let me just I need to find out a little bit more about how your mind
Sure.
works.
Yeah,
So, first of all, had you been contemplating that for a long time, or what happened to inspire that idea?
yeah. So in New
Especially,
York,
is that your was that your first records under your own name?
yeah,
That makes it even more interesting to me.
yeah, I go big. Yeah, so in New York, I'm known a lot for playing with big bands. I've done everybody's big band, and I'm on. There's a really vibrant, large ensemble
Oh,
scene here in New York. It's pretty amazing.
yeah.
I remember there was a great write up about it in Downbeat maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. Um, Now Birdland basically puts on a new big band every Sunday, which is amazing. The fact that there's that many big bands and there's that many composers, and basically it all stems from this wonderful thing in New York called the BMI Jazz Composers
Yeah.
program,
Yeah.
and it's a long running kind of workshop that was, I believe, started by Manny Album or Bob Brookmeyer. They both did it at some point.
Yeah.
It was taken over by Jim McNeely and Mike Holliber. And maybe a couple years into my being in New York, I started subbing. So what basically, to boil it down, is it's a workshop where a bunch of students get to study free of charge with Jim McNeely and Mike Holliber.
Yeah.
And every month you get to have a band read your music for free, and of
Wow.
amazing top call jazz musicians. And so I had, often I sub in and would read those. I was always a really great reader, and it's just something I love doing ever since I was, got into playing drums,
Yeah.
playing big band. So I eventually joined the band, and did it for about 5 years. Then Jim retired. Mike kind of retired too, and then I did 1 year with a new director, and I decided I couldn't really devote the time to it. Anyway, that being said, I met a lot of these really, really wonderful composers during that time. Miho Hazama, Darcy James Argue, a lot of these kind of at that point were young and up and coming big band writers who later I worked in their bands, went on countless tours with them, and now they're some of the most, top call people around. And so each of these 8 arrangers that I commissioned, I had a previous like working relationship with, except for one of them, who his name is Brian Kroc, who is also a wonderful he's probably the youngest person I asked, but we had known of each other, and I really liked his record, and Darcy had recommended him to do one of my charts, and did a really great job. But everybody else I've played in their bands: Jim McNeely, Mike Holliber, Alan Ferber, Miho Hazama, John DeVersa, Laurence Hobgood, and missing one. Shoot, this is the hardest part, is recounting all of them. McNeely,
I
Holliber.
can go look if you want.
No, there's one I'm missing. Because there's 8: Brian, Lawrence,
Is it on your
John.
website?
Yeah, it's easy to find. Shoot,
I'll
what song am I
find.
missing?
I
Because I
know.
always think about it. What song? Yeah, not diverse.
It's like one time I
Uh,
forgot my husband's name when I was introducing him. He looked at me
hilarious.
and
Oh, and
thought I
Darcy,
was
and
freaking.
Darcy.
Oh,
Sorry,
all
that's
right.
it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So those are the eight.
All right.
But
Cool.
yeah, so that's how it came to be. And so, you know, since that project has come out, I've been like asked by kind of a lot of different colleges and bands to come do my big band music with them and do clinics and stuff like that. So that was my kind of long-term goal with having that music and having that project, as
Yeah.
well as just how much I love playing it and playing with my own big band in New York.
Yeah.
But there also was a slightly, longer term angle to have that music kind of as part of my presentation to the places that I go and tour and do residencies in. So,
Could we, I'm sure we can, but can we listen to something or either on video
sure. Yeah.
or whatever?
There's a lot of most of the tunes are up on YouTube, the big band versions. Would you like to listen to one of those?
Sure.
So if you go to, YouTube, and if you, I think just type Jared Schonig big band. And ironically, I guess if you want to go there, you could listen to the big band version of Whiteout,
Oh,
which should be up there. And if it's not, then I got more stuff to put up there.
well, not in this group.
Not in there.
I
Why
mean,
don't you put on, well, go down a little bit more. It might come up.
I went, well, this is like, then it starts changing, you know.
Okay, how about let's listen to, cool, we could do, Nuts they're all great.
Okay,
Could do,
let's just, we'll go. Oh man, it's good.
It's very long. If you wanted to,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
because
probably got another 4 minutes. There we go.
because we're we're a limited time today for you.
Yeah.
Your kids are going to wake up out of their nap. That
Oh, good.
that's the only reason I'll be stopping that. I mean,
Oh, good.
wow,
You could check it out later. Yeah, it's a good one. Thank you.
that's great writing, man. If
Thanks.
I was
Yes.
if I was a musician in New York, I would want to play in your band. It's like
Thanks.
I want to play in that band, man.
All right.
That's really wow, really good writing. I mean, I grew up in jazz. My dad was a sax player, and
Oh,
he
cool.
led big bands and stuff. So,
Nice.
you know, y- as you grow over the years, your tastes change, and
Sure.
just from day to day, right? And
Yeah.
so, but and I listened to a lot of big band stuff because his records, he loved Stan
Yeah.
Kenton and all that stuff.
Sure.
And then once I went to Berkeley, and then when I got into Berkeley, then there was this other whole world open up, you know,
Totally.
yeah. And so, but then I started hearing people, like Bob Brookmeyer and, people who
Yeah.
were Thad Jones and Mel Lewis, who were doing other things with with the music. It was so good.
Right.
I remember
Right.
sitting at a IAJE show for the Mingus Big Band. My girlfriend and I were like, we were in the front row. We were like, because they were up on a stage, we were dying. It was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's really cool to hear that song is amazing, and how you wrote it to go in and out of time, time.
So that was the arrangers thing take on that. That was John DeVersa. Yeah, the regular tune doesn't do that at all. So,
Oh,
for me,
wow.
yeah, for me, it was just such an amazing treat to hear everybody do their thing with my music. And that was the goal. Like, here's my piece of music, here's what I envision it to sound like. Now you do whatever you want with it. And I'll just never forget, like, getting these MIDI files back and reading along with the score. And I was just like, euphoric. It was such an incredible thing
Yeah.
to get these takes on my stuff. Even in MIDI format, you just knew what you were getting was ridiculous. So I,
Yeah.
I loved it.
I love John DeVersa. He's
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
I'm a fan of his for so many years. In fact, last time I saw him, it was a few months ago. He was playing with a small group, and
Right.
it was orgasmic,
Yeah.
and especially because I know the music.
Right.
So it was like the playing was so, they were all on the same consciousness, and it just went on and on. It was, that's one
Yeah. Of
reason why you love music so much, because
course.
you know puts you in that space, and then you know it's
Yeah.
orgasmic.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Definitely.
that was really good. So
Thank you.
what's your writing process? I'm just curious. Have you? It sounds like you've written a lot of music.
You know, it's funny, not really. I was a pianist first. I played classical piano for a really long time before I ever played the drums.
Oh,
So and then when I played drums in high school and college, I kind of stopped playing piano. And then mid college, I really like began this, I don't know, love affair with playing jazz on the piano and like learn,
yeah.
I went to Eastman School of Music, and everybody
Oh,
had to take drums, bass, and piano, functional jazz.
really?
So I could still play acoustic bass,
Oh,
and
cool.
obviously I can play piano, but like,
Wow.
um I started writing music in high school, and I was actually I transcribed a lot of big band charts when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I had my own big band in high school, so it goes way back.
Oh, wow, wow,
It's
wow.
funny, yeah, it's a funny thing. But yeah, so my process is really just to uh rarely have I ever, that's not true. A few times I'll actually like think of work out a groove or work out something on the drums and then kind of transfer it to the piano.
Yeah.
But mostly it's like things I'll sit at the piano and hear in my head, and sometimes I voice memo record it and then go transcribe it on the piano later. And some of my tunes have been written in about 20 minutes, and then some of my tunes have taken weeks, just the way it is.
Yeah. Have you this is a stupid question. Have you written any ballads?
No, it's a great question. And yes, I do have a couple ballads. It's funny, I like I wrote it like a beautiful kind of mood piece ballad for the Pacific Ocean about Santa Monica. And then I have like this ballad that I'm going to do on whatever my next project is that I wrote in college. That's a really beautiful tune. And I actually lost the music and lost all recordings of it and recently found it. So I was like, got very excited.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
You also are working with other people. Like I saw you a few months ago with Laila Biali, who's a very talented pianist, songwriter, singer from Canada. She's actually not originally from Canada, right?
She is. She's Canadian. Yeah.
Okay, I forgot.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that was really good. That was at the Smother Brothers Theater in
Smother Brothers.
Yeah, in
Pepperdine.
Yeah, and that was really great concert. That was and it was just a trio, and so that was pretty cool. She does very nice arranging.
Yeah, she's great. She's one of my favorite people to play with, and really amazing human being too. Yeah, great singer. Yeah.
So that was
I mean,
so you do other stuff too.
Well, yeah, I'm still in the mostly a sideman world. I think it's nice that I'm doing more and more things with my own projects. It's so funny, the timing of the way things came out and COVID, and like now things are finally seemingly normal-ish.
Yeah.
It's still a very weird time. And yeah, I had big plans for my only doing my stuff for a while, and had to make a living. So I'm still doing a lot of sideman stuff, and but more and more I'm taking either myself out to do my music, or a trio out to do my music, or a quintet, and then still doing my big band in New York basically a couple times a year. And I have a couple new tunes coming in for the big band for my next gig in May, which would be cool. So but
right? God, there's so much to do. I mean, and it sounds like you handle some of your PR and you get your shit together for the next. Let's see, I'm going to do a big band gig. Okay.
Oh yeah, you got to do it all.
Stuff, yeah, man.
I got 2 kids to raise. So I got to save that money somewhere. Yeah.
It's not for the P word, it's
correct.
Really, it's a hard gig, man. It's really hard gig. Yeah. That's really amazing. I applaud you for doing everything and for being a dad of 2 young children and a husband. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's a lot
to do. You live in New York. You live outside of New York City, or?
No, in New York, in Harlem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. Right uptown, 145th Street.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Kind of in the middle of it all. It's a wild.
How's New York doing right now? I mean, has it kind of emerged from COVID, or?
I would say it's definitely emerged from COVID, and things are, so like one of my, interesting enough, my day job is playing Broadway shows, and I've been doing that for about 10, 11 years. And, ironically enough, Broadway was like the last industry to come back kind of with COVID, and then is also like the last industry to stop really regular testing and mask usage. So not to get political at all, I'm just stating the facts, but like we just stopped doing that. So for me, like COVID just recently has felt like it's less of a problem than it used to. which is wild. And then, so audience, I've always kind of gauged like what audiences are like in Broadway houses, and they are like very good, very, very close to like pre-pandemic numbers. And yeah, New York in general feels pretty good right now. Part of the winter seems pretty rough as far as like homelessness and just general unsafeness around. You'd see a lot of stuff that you didn't see
Oh,
pre-pandemic. Just like
yeah.
you'd hear of crazy random acts of violence, or just see a lot more, like open drug usage.
Oh,
It was out. It's weird. And it's maybe seeming to be a little bit better. A lot of people think New York will not be back to its like, glorified
yeah.
levels of whatever you want to call it for a while, but it's definitely getting closer.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, stuff, but it's taking a while to clean stuff up.
Yeah.
Different pockets of different neighborhoods are rough, and but it's getting there. Like, I mean, because I have to go to Times Square almost every day, and I see some out stuff in my subway stop,
Huh.
but it's
It is
okay.
what it is. Yeah,
It is what it is.
I mean, yeah, no, I won't go where I was going because it's not it's like a little weird. It's just, my husband and I were talking today and, watching the news and, you know,
Yeah,
whatever. Anyway, I mean,
yeah,
I think for the most part, and actually Herman and I were talking about this yesterday. You know, you you know who you are, you know what you do. You
yeah,
you move forward. Oh, I know
yeah,
why we were talking about it. We were actually I was asking him some questions about playing the horn because since I'm a wind instrument too. And
yeah.
so it was actually really cool to speak with him about that. But so I I mean actually check this out. So I wrote this little book during the pandemic. The
Oh,
Act of
cool.
Becoming. It's like a little philosophy book and um it compares an idea like if I was teaching somebody technically how to sing to using the same idea teaching them how to sing jazz, the same idea teaching them how to live. And it
Yeah,
just fascinated me over the years. It was like the same lesson applies to everything.
everything. Yeah,
So I wrote this
the,
little book. And so yeah, but we were talking about the physical act of the wind has to flow. And it's all about the wind, really. I mean, yeah, of
yeah,
course, for the trumpet, it's about the embouchure and, all that stuff, right? But the wind has to flow and it has to keep moving and you don't really pay attention to the up and down. You pay attention to the flow. And
right.
I mean, that's kind of a life lesson, right? So we do what we do, we know who we are, we know what we're doing, and we
Yeah,
do the best we can do, and we keep the flow happening.
exactly.
You're
Yeah.
a great example of that. Look at how many things you're juggling,
Oh, thanks.
you know?
Well,
And it's about the flow of life.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
last night also I was not sleeping well last night because a lot of you know I had a knee replacement last week, and so I was listening to Eckhart Tolle, because it was like, I don't know what time in the morning, 4 or something, and I just couldn't sleep. So I thought, oh, I'll listen to Eckhart because he's
yeah,
and he was talking about how the life force, um, never dies, even though this physical form may die.
right,
It's the life force never dies. It keeps manifesting itself in various ways.
right.
And it was just so cool to listen to that and to, contemplate that. And again, talking about flow, talking about, you know, we're just doing, we are the vessel for these manifestations. You have your
Yeah,
big bands, you have your children, you have
right,
your Broadway shows, you have your writing,
right.
you know, and
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know, it's pretty fascinating life, isn't
it is.
it?
Never imagined it like this.
No, what do you think you imagined?
Well, I guess I didn't imagine it would be so intense, such a concentrated intensity for so many years.
Yeah,
Um, I think, yeah, I liked just I never, I guess I never imagined this part to be so hard.
yeah.
A part like where both my wife and I have very great careers, and then we're also, raising two young children in like, a 900 square foot apartment in New York City, arguably one of the most expensive cities in the world, doing the things we love. Um,
What does your wife do?
my wife is a really, really amazing musician. We met playing music, and she, after many years of touring in bands and doing her own projects, she got into jingle writing in New York, worked at a jingle company, and then was hired by another one, a sonic branding company used to be called Man Made Music, and now they're called Made Music Studios. And she is one of the kind of top people at this seemingly one of the only big music houses that does like commercial music left in New York City. So
Wow.
she's a very creative person, but also a very business savvy person, and has brought a lot to the table there. It's kind of an interesting way she got there in her life, and I think it has worked out quite well for her. She gets to use different parts of her brain, not just playing or singing. She's a great keyboard player and a really great singer. She gets to do other stuff there, which is cool. As well as, she was writing jingles and singing on them and doing stuff like that.
Oh,
And does
wow.
a little bit less of that and more business stuff now. But yeah, it's cool.
Wow, man. She sounds like a force of nature too.
She is, and it's good for her to hear that.
Yeah, I know it's funny because sometimes you're doing all this stuff and you're, successful in what you're doing, and you don't even kind of fully realize it, right?
Yeah,
It's
of
like,
course. Yeah, 100%.
yeah, that's humans.
Yeah, humans, exactly.
Yeah.
It's hard to take a step back and look at the bigger picture when you're so invested in it and you're kind of living on a day-to-day, basis.
Yes.
But I think it's really important to be able to at least take some time to reflect and just, stop your mind from racing and stop your mind from like calibrating the next move, I guess.
Yeah.
In New York especially, it's really hard
Yeah.
because, boy, like the rat race is real here. And I believe it's real everywhere else too, but like something about it here is just, it's insane. But for me, it's always the place I wanted to live for that very reason, because I could thrive in a rat race.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just like it,
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
that's a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah,
It's really interesting. I think that there's it's a gathering of like minds. So
yeah,
like everybody, like when I'm burning, and doing all these different things,
yeah,
I know how that feels. And so I think in New York, there's people have agreed to live like that, you know,
sure. Good
basically.
point.
And yeah, like Herman, he lives in Paris.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
we were talking about, he talks about art and history with people and, I mean,
right,
sits around, eats good food. And I mean,
right.
he's working a lot, but still there's an agreement about that over there.
Yeah,
I remember, yeah, I'm from Boston.
right.
So I remember when I came out to LA, and it really struck me that, like, I had a very dear friend. Do you know um, Jay Azalina?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so Jay was married to one of my best friends growing up.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, Jill Romanow Azalina. She was a great singer. She
Yeah,
anyway, she so she lived in New York, I lived in LA. So we had grown up as best friends, and so it was very easy to see that, like, some differences. So
yeah,
here's my thing. So what I decided was in New York, well, in LA there was oh no, in New York there was this big wheel turning, and the challenge was to jump on the wheel. And in
Yeah.
LA, there's no wheel turning, and the challenge is to build it. And that
Yeah.
was really what we were doing. You could
Totally.
see it. It was very obvious.
Yeah. Wow. That's heavy. I love
Yeah.
it. That's a
Yeah.
good analogy.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never met her, but yeah, I played with Jay a few times. He's awesome. Great guitar player.
He's a really
Burning
good
dude.
player. Yeah. She
Yeah. Super burning.
passed. She passed
Oh, I'm so
like,
sorry. Oh,
yeah, maybe 10 years ago.
oh wow.
I think I'm trying to remember if I was married at the time. Yeah, I was. So, yeah, it might have been 10, 12 years ago, something like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she was great. Yeah.
Oh,
But so anyway, but yeah, Jay, he's a really great player. But speaking of that, God, there are so many awesome players in New York. I mean,
yeah.
that band was like, your big band was like,
Yeah.
what?
I
Oh
know.
my
It's silly.
God. And they just jumped right in. Their solos were
Yeah.
like totally
Yeah.
off the charts.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing in New York is that you can find about 10 players deep on any
Yeah.
any position and any band that will all be ridiculously amazing and really nice people,
Yeah.
you know, like and that was actually really hard when trying to figure out who was going to do my big band because I've been really lucky to play with a lot of people. And there's a nice tradition in New York, whether it's in the Broadway scene or it's in the jazz scene, like where somebody hires you, you want to hire them for your project and pay it back. And
Yeah.
um so there's a lot of really great people on my big band records who have hired me for their big bands or their bands or whatever. And I also want to try to get some new younger people or whatever. I just yeah, it's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, and the other thing is like, you have 1 3-hour rehearsal before your record date, and it sounds like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not like we rehearsed a lot. Really, there was
Yeah.
one rehearsal before the record, and
That's
that's just the way it
LA.
is, and that's
Yeah.
very common. I'm sure it is for a lot of music, but yeah,
That's an art. That's an art.
yeah,
I knew a few studio guys out here, like Mike Lang was one guy who
yeah,
was, you know, you put something in it
yeah,
and that's it. But
right.
yeah, it was great. There are a lot of great players in LA now. I mean, people have been
No, there
moving
are
out here and
totally.
it's great too, but New York, of course, has always been so thick with it. It's just
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Yeah, I think more and more. I mean, definitely like during the pandemic and even a little pre and a little like post, a lot of New York jazz musicians moved to LA because
Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
just
it's
easier. Yeah,
easier. It's an easier life. It's nice. I mean, when I was out there and I saw you, I was like, man, I could move back here.
yeah,
And then I realized, well, that's like I don't know if I should.
yeah,
I mean, we would love to move back to California at some point.
yeah.
It'd be a really interesting change of life, but all our four grandparents are out there in different parts of the state, and like everybody's getting older, and
Yeah,
it'd be nice to see my kids more, our kids more.
yeah.
Yeah,
Have you
we'll never.
considered moving out of the city a little bit?
Yeah, that's probably on the imminent horizon
Yeah,
before moving to California. But yeah, having more of a suburban life, I think is definitely what we both want, sooner than later.
yeah. There's so. I mean, God, it's endless. How beautiful, beautiful
Yeah,
place. In June, I was back there, and I played at the Deer Head, which is a
yeah,
surprising area. I
yeah,
went to visit Joe and Judy Silvano and Joe
yeah,
Lovano. I
yeah,
mean, wow, they have this beautiful, and it's not out in the woods. I mean, it is, but it's not like out in the boonies.
right.
Uh, it's kind of close to
Yeah,
the Deer Head. It's somewhat close. And then
like,
there's
yeah,
Watson, and
yeah,
there's a lot of places
yeah,
relatively close to the city.
yeah. Northeast is a beautiful place for sure. There's a
Yeah,
lot of great, great. I mean, and then we love nature, so that's all we were doing during the pandemic was just finding a new place to hike every weekend. Yeah, great.
How did your wife deal with pregnancy and all her business stuff? Must have been
Yeah,
intense.
well, yeah, my our son was born in December of 19, and then he was born in the wintertime in New York, so we were indoors, and then all of a sudden, pandemic. We She never stopped working. Well, she took her maternity leave, and then she went back to work, I think, for a week before everything shut down,
Uh,
which was pretty crazy.
yeah.
We stayed here. I took care of my son every single day, and then I started getting more recording work and stuff, teaching work during the pandemic. So we ended up moving to California for about 10 months. We drove across country. And then and then she got pregnant there in California, and she flew back with our son, and I drove back with the dog, which was an incredible experience. And then she took another maternity leave, a short 3 months, do some amazing bonding with our daughter, and went back to work. So it's just women are very incredible human beings, and everybody should remember that. you know
That's really
Wow.
amazing. Oh, Mike Campbell has joined us.
Oh, awesome.
My favorite drummer, my favorite doofus. I love all the Shonigs.
Oh, that's so awesome. I send my love right back to him and all of
Yeah, let's go hear just a little more music from you.
them. Sure.
I'm sure soon the children will be waking up.
Yeah, they're doing
Uh,
well.
well, I kind of want to watch the end part of this. That
Yeah, it's great. You got a tenor solo and a drum solo.
Okay, I'm just gonna come in. We heard the first half of this, and
Yeah.
the Jared Schonig Big Band, and this was from from his record Two Takes, Volume Two, and the premise of this was genius to me. It was like he'd made one record with a smaller group, and took the same music and hired his favorite arrangers who he's played with big band a lot, and did the same music but arranged by these arrangers. And here you go. This is the second half of Nuts. And
Ruby. Ruby. Up, up.
insane. You're fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
Wow. Let me get my mouse working here.
My favorite thing about that chart is like when I'll go do it with a college or with a school.
Yeah.
They'll always, sometimes they want to do that chart, and that one's really hard, obviously.
Yeah.
They'll always come and be like, yeah, our drummer couldn't solo over the thing at the end, so we need to work on that with you just to make sure the band doesn't get messed up by all the crazy stuff you do.
Yeah, I can imagine. Boy, the kids must be really excited out of their mind to play this stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I did one a few weeks ago at Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really great guy there named Mark Buselli, who also went to Berkeley. Great trumpet player and really, really fantastic guy. And I just freaking had a blast playing the stuff with the kids. It was great.
And do you teach as well in New York?
No, I used to teach a fair amount, and like there honestly is no time to do it. No time. I often think about like getting a college teaching gig somewhere and doing that as like that instead of doing the Broadway shows. But just playing my instrument every night at an extremely high level is like still pulling me. I do love teaching, but I especially love like the kind of residency for a few days and spending some really quality time with students and getting to know them, and like doing that over just a short period of time is really great. And I love doing it, and like some of the most memorable experiences I had were when that happened when I was in high school and college. And so like I know what a big deal that is for young musicians, budding musicians. So yes, I really enjoy doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the administrative part of teaching, like the constant, it's a whole other reality. And
right.
That's just, it's tiring. It takes away
it's tiring. Yes, correct.
And stuff. Yeah. But the teaching itself is good.
Yes. It's just all the other stuff. Right.
My friend Dan said he remembers seeing you at the G Spot with Laurence Hobgood.
Oh, wow. Killer.
That was a while ago, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Well, tell him hi.
Yeah. There you go, Dan.
Sure.
He says hi.
That's awesome.
We're gonna have to leave soon because Jared's kids are gonna wake up from their naps. 1 and 3, right? That's how old they are.
Yep. 15 months and 3 months. Yep.
Anything you want to tell us before you go? I don't want to fit in whatever you need.
Oh man, I mean, it's been a treat to be on here and talk to you, and it was great to meet you in person a couple months ago. Yeah, I'm just, I'm out. I'll be out, and when am I coming back to California? I'm not sure. I'll be doing a tour in the fall this year, bringing at least a trio out, and we'll play somewhere, I think in LA, whether it's at the airport Sam First or somewhere else. And then if I have the cojones, then I'll do my big band at Vitello's.
Vitello's,
which is
exist.
Not Vitello's. I mean, sorry, the vibrato.
Yeah.
LOL. But you remember Vitello's, and so do I. So there you go. But yes, vibrato. Herb Alpert's vibrato.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a gig there that I was going to do, and it was like at the height of Omicron. So obviously I canceled and didn't do it. But yeah, and then just look out for other things that I'm doing around the country, and yeah, that's about it. A new project is in the works. We'll figure out what it is soon. But I have days for the studio.
It's not called Take 3, is it?
No, it's gonna be something different. I can't spend that kind of money again. Whew.
My friend Roland said he's advising you to spend as much time with your kids as you can during this stage because they'll be 21 before you know it.
Totally, totally true. Well, if it makes, well, I mean, I was spending every day with my son until he was at least a year, and change was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot different now, but luckily, um, yeah, I spend a lot of time with my daughter now because my son only is in school a couple days a week, and my daughter is just home with me most of the week. So yeah, it is pretty great.
Cool. Well,
But
Jared,
that is good advice.
I'll let you go because I know
Thank
there's a
you.
lot to do and your kids are about to wake up. So thanks for being on. It was
My
fun
pleasure.
to get into
Thanks.
your head and your
Thanks.
reality. And
Appreciate it.
well, I'm going to stay on because I can just kind of slowly get off.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
but thank you so much. It was really fun to have you on, and you're going to
Thank you.
probably be
Appreciate
at
it.
least 3 cents richer from some of these people listening. So they're going to go buy your stuff from somewhere, Spotify or whatever.
That's on. Yeah, it's on Bandcamp. You can buy
Oh,
it if you'd
good.
like. That is great. You can listen to it on Spotify too, or Apple Music. It's on all
Yeah,
this stuff. But yeah,
Bandcamp. Cool. Yeah.
Bandcamp is the best.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
thanks
Well,
again. Appreciate it.
thank you so much.
Awesome. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. So,
Take care.
yeah. And I'm staying on, ladies and
Okay.
gentlemen. Yeah.
Go make some food, do the laundry, and then see what happens.
Okay. Good luck.
All the best. Thanks. Bye.
Hi, Jared. Well, he was a cool guy. Jared Schonig. Wow. Pretty intense drummer, right? And that big band, well, it was music that he wrote, and that particular cut was from this project that he has called Take Two, which is two different recordings. One is music with a smaller group, and then the same music is on the second record, and he picked, I think he said, possibly 7 of his favorite arrangers, and they arranged the same music for a big band, which is so cool, isn't it? That's so great. It's kind of reminds me a little bit of that Rogers and Hammerstein project that Tim Weston did. He took, well, I mean, not in the Take Two thing, but he took different arrangers, fabulous arrangers, and different singers, and every song was different. It was really fabulous. Anyway, just wanted to hang out a little longer. I'm healing up from knee surgery that I had a week ago. I'm hoping that next week I will be okay to do my gigs. We will see. Ah, and yeah, and tomorrow I'm having a really talented singer, guitarist, songwriter named Camilla Meza. She's really talented, beautiful. As a matter of fact, um, uh, Jared knew her and played with her. Oh, hi, you guys, Rodolfo. Apparently, you know him, and Mike Campbell. Yeah, yeah, the Wee Trio. He spoke about the Wee Trio. You can actually look at Facebook and go through the beginning of it as well. We mentioned you, Mike, of course. Um, oh, yeah, you're a fan of Camilla Mesa. You know, you might have told me about her first. I always forget where I hear about people. And I believe you introduced me to Jared Schonig as well. Um, yeah, so let's see. I'm in LA, and there's some great stuff happening in LA. Lots of great stuff. Um, and one thing is that I've been booking this really interesting room called Kulak's Woodshed. And Kulak's Woodshed is in a really good area for going out, North Hollywood, which is really 20 minutes or less from about 80% of the people who would be interested to go out. It's very easy to get to, close. The room is a very interesting room. It's kind of like, it's almost like you went into a secondhand store, and the room looks either like that or backstage on a theater or a TV set. And so then what they do is their main thing is to video. So they have 6 cameras, 3 of them are moving, and it's a live edited stereo video that happens there. And so when you're in the audience, which is a relatively small size, 49 seats, when you're in the audience, you're part of this experience. And that's why it really does feel like you're on a TV stage. And the sound in the room is great, both for musicians and for the audience. It's warm and great piano. There's, let's see, also people can end up with a Pro Tools session. I mean, this is a really unique situation, and it's not selling the idea to musicians is interesting. It's not your typical club. It's your typical gig might be, gone are the days when the club owner actually pays you or promises you the money. That's about 20% of the clubs. The 80% of the clubs is everybody expects to show up and then just get like an 80-20 split of the door, or something like that. And so this is a really different thing because you pay up front for the situation. What you end up with, though, is worth at least 3 times what you're paying. And so it's really an interesting situation. For those of you living outside of LA or really far, you can actually live stream it on the nights. And you just go to kulakswoodshed.com, and I'll just write it down. So www.kulakswoodshed.com. And Paul Kulak has had this place for 23 years. And mostly it's been dedicated to singer-songwriters, acoustic rock, blues, country, with some jazz artists coming through, some Brazilian artists. But during the pandemic, it got hit hard. Plus, his landlord, who was giving him a good deal, died, and the family tripled the rent. So it's been a little bit difficult getting back, to a good survival mode. You can actually be a donator as well. You can be a steady donator or a one-time donator. And it's a really interesting place. And Paul Kulak is a really cool guy. I really like him, and I wouldn't be working on this project of getting music in there if I really didn't like him, because I have a lot to do, and but I really like it. So I'm trying my best to stimulate audience to come in because it's just ridiculously fun. Plus, there's no food and alcohol sold. There are snacks available, but you pay the cover, and that's it. Nobody's hustling you for anything, right? So it's inexpensive, it's unusual, and it's the top quality jazz people that I'm booking in there. So it's a pretty amazing place, and I hope those of you in LA or people coming to LA will check it out. It's really, really cool. So just having said that, I'll tell you a little bit of who's actually playing. This week on Thursday is a beautiful singer. Originally I met her because she was a student of mine, but that was a long time ago. She's beautiful to look at. She's beautiful inside. She's an honest singer. She sings really, really great. Her name's Greta Angel. So Thursday, she's going to be singing at Kulak's. It's 8 to 10, and with great bassist and guitarist. So that's Thursday. And then I'm just going to give you a little bit of a rundown because it's really great. Hopefully my recovery from my knee surgery is going to support this, but I am booked Wednesday and Friday there because my friend Cho Yun-sung, who's a Korean pianist, he and I had done a record years ago called Bohemian, and he's coming back to LA next week, and we're going to record a trio and strings for a Korean project with the Great American Songbook, and we may also Wednesday we're going to do a duo, and we may end up with another duo record or portion of a record. I mean, it's kind of unrealistic to think 2 hours for a whole record, but we certainly could have a few songs from a Pro Tools session. And then Friday we have the trio that's going to be recording on Sunday. So, which includes Jimmy Branley on drums and Ahmet Sezin on bass. And Cho is an incredible player. He's kind of like a little bit like Chick Corea. So he and I, our duo gig is, our record was adventurous. It was some standards, a lot of originals, and we actually didn't even intend to make that a record. I could play a little bit of that, but we just wanted to get something down before he left LA because he was living in LA. And we ended up with this record called Bohemian, which was really great. I might do, let's see, Bohemian, Cathy Segal-Garcia. There's, of course, obviously a number of cool things. I really like this record a lot, personally. I like Fragile, actually. I might play a little bit of Fragile. Not long. I'm not going to play as long as we did it, but I'll play that. And, so anyway, just to finish what I was saying, so next week it'll be me and Cho on Wednesday, and Friday me and Cho and Jimmy Branley and Ahmet Sezin. And then I'm just talking about Kulaks, not myself. If you want to know what I'm doing, you can go to my website. But on Friday, April 7th, Bob Shepard's wife is a great singer, Brazilian jazz singer, Maria Puga Lario. And so Bob actually can't. They were planning on doing the gig together there, but Bob actually got another gig that he had to take. So it's Maria, Mitch Foreman on piano, Derek Oles on bass, Steve Haas on drums, another one of my favorite drummers on the planet, and Pat Kelly on guitar. So that's Friday, April 7th. And then Saturday, an unusual, rare occurrence. The great pianist Josh Nelson, who's, if you live in LA, especially, you know who Josh Nelson is. He's a gorgeous player, one of the favorites. And so he is actually playing with a bass player, Carl McComas Reich. And that's going to be really good. I can't wait for that. So that's Saturday, April 8th. The following week, again, just running down Kulaks, just to keep in your mind, Saturday, April 15th, there's a really, really good Australian jazz singer who's just been growing in notoriety. She's really got a beautiful, natural, impressive style. Her name's Michelle Nicole. She's coming into town. She's traveling around the U.S. doing workshops, master classes, and gigs. So Saturday, April 15th, she's going to play with another one of our favorite musicians here, Larry Kuntz, on guitar, what can I say about Larry? He's like one of the top requested guitarists. And then speaking of Michelle, the following week she's going to do a workshop at Kulak's for vocalists, and that'll be Tuesday, April 18th. Also that week, and that I'll just stop here. Then you can go look. That week is Thursday is guitar night. So I've made the first night of first Thursday of the month Brazil night with Dori Amarillo usually. The second Thursday is free music or creative new music with Vinny Golia, who's like the king of that style. He teaches at Cal Arts. And his quintet, which is incredible. If you like creative music, there are songs, but then there's improvised and creativeness within the songs. And I can't tell you how impressive it is. So he's on the second Thursdays of the month. And the third Thursdays, I've brought back Guitar Night, which John Pisano used to do Guitar Night weekly for 20 plus years. So I'm trying to bring that back. So Thursday, April 20th will be Tom Rizzo, who's really a really good guitar player. I'm a big fan of guitar, and he's really good. He's so tasteful. And he decided to bring in a trio. So him and Kenny Wild on bass and Kendall Kay on drums. There's no charge that night, by the way, because he wants to do a really nice video at Kulak's and wants the place kind of full. So yeah, and then just to finish off April, the next Thursday, the last Thursday, I've been trying to dedicate to the art of the duo with maybe a seasoned singer, like this Thursday with Greta Angel. And it'll happen to be the seasoned singer, Cathy Segal-Garcia, and with Dave Moscow on piano. Dave Moscow is a guy who, if you live outside of LA, you may not know. He's not the kind of pianist who's gone on the road with people, that kind of guy, but he has been here. He's over 80. He's been here working for years and always supported singers. And he and I have worked together probably 35 years. And we have a really beautiful relationship doing the Great American Songbook mostly, and being creative in on the spot arrangements, and we're open. That's why I wanted to put in the art of the duo, because when you have seasoned singer and pianist or singer and guitarist, when you have that, it's one of the highlights of creativity to hear the art of doing that. There's a sensitivity and an openness, like, you're going to Bossa Nova here, or, okay, I'll go with you, or, I feel like holding a bar here. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And it's, of course, unspoken. It's just, it happens. That's why I really wanted to do the art of the duo. These things are, these particular nights are kind of my desire to bring these particular things to more people's attention. Brazilian music. God, last week was Roberto Monteiro. Ugh. If you have a chance, go listen to some of that on Kulak's Facebook site. Oh my God, it was gorgeous. And, I want to bring this to more people's attention. Free music, the absolute art and gorgeousness of this music just puts you in another zone. Guitar, one of my favorite instruments, and just great guitars is great guitar. God, the first one we had Will Brahm and Andrew what is his name? Andrew Renshaw. And oh God, it was incredible. And it was the first time they had played together. And it was incredible. It was definitely a record in the making. And then, the art of the duo, as I was saying. So, anyway, that's my pet project right now. I am going to be sending out probably today, like a list of what I'm doing, which includes some other things too. And if you want to be on my mailing list, just go to my site, CathySegal-Garcia.com, and you can be on my mailing list. Doesn't matter where you live. If you're interested, I'll send it to you. So I think that's it. Tomorrow, just as a reminder, Camilla Meza, great young singer, songwriter, guitarist. When I say great, I mean that's just a simple adjective, but she really is amazing. And then if you're in LA, I highly recommend going to see Greta Angel, who's a really good singer, beautiful person inside and out, really good at Kulak's Woodshed from 8 to 10. And if you're not in LA, you can check her out on the stream, which happens on Facebook. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, wish me good luck in my exercises today for my knee. And I'll be receiving your positive vibes. Thank you so much for being here. And thanks to Jared Schonig for being my guest.